So let's start with Senate Bill 386, which was finally passed by the Senate earlier this month. What's the major difference between S.386 and H.R. 1044, which was passed by the House in July 2019?
Sure. So there's obviously a lot of overlap between both of the bills, as you can imagine. I think there's a couple main differences. One is where there is the per country quota cap for family-based cases was much more generous in the House bill. In fact, that was at a much higher number, like 25%. Kept aside for family-based immigration versus the Senate bill, which only has 15% as the cap for family-based immigration. And another area in which I think there's a fairly big difference was the elimination of the per country quota employment-based numbers. The House version tried to eliminate it over 3 years versus the Senate version, which eliminates it over a course of 9 years. But ultimately, the two bills, are not that far apart. And so we expect that if the negotiations continue and if Trump is willing to sign it before he leaves office on January 20th, then there's a high chance it could pass. Though, of course, we are seeing a lot of pushback from certain organizations and people from other countries who are concerned about now potential delays for their country nationals who could be stuck in very long lines.
So what are the chances then of the Senate and House reaching a compromise before the term of the current Congress ends early next month?
It depends on how much push and pull there was. I know that several organizations had pushed very, very hard for years for this bill to pass. We've been hearing about it coming up and being an issue for the last, I would say, between 10 and 20 years. I also, as I said earlier, know for a fact that organizations and nationals of other countries are very concerned and alarmed that right now, if there is a zero waiting time in the EB2 categories for those countries to get their 485s approved, they could end up having between a 0 to 5 year wait to get their cases approved. Their 485's adjustment of status applications approved. So they are concerned. And so, it depends, I guess, on who's able to convince members of Congress, because until now, the organizations that have been pushing it have always said, hey, it doesn't impact anybody else. Now that this bill may become a reality, a lot of people are coming out and saying, whoa, 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 just hold on a minute. I'm not very comfortable about what's going to happen because it's going to impact us. Now, for Indian nationals, of course, it's a huge benefit not to, it's going to cut back the times instead of 15, 20, or 30-year waiting time. It could be between 0 and 5 or 0 and 10, 5 to 10 years. So it's a huge time differential for Indian and then Chinese, but it could certainly end up causing delays for several other countries because those extra immigrant visa numbers from employment and family-based are now going to be sort of distributed in a different methodology.
If the bills die in the current Congress, do you expect the next Congress to take it up again?
There's a huge support. A lot of people, a majority in both houses, as we know, have passed the bill. The question is, what is the reason for it not to get past this Congress, and whether those factors that will prevent it from being finalized now so that it can be wrapped up in this Congress could be the same reasons why it may not again come back up, because every few years we hear about it passing one or both houses. This is the first time both houses agreed to it. And now I guess there's going to be a little bit of pushback, as is to be expected with any bill that comes up anytime, because people don't, because people don't fully appreciate it. Sometimes they do it for their friends or other people, and then suddenly they're like, whoa, I didn't know that this is the possible side ripple effect of this bill. Okay. So what is the chance of it passing? It depends, again, on the pushback from the different parties. So, if there's going to be a delay now and it doesn't pass now, I believe that those same concerns will continue through the next Congress as well.
As far as Congress is concerned, is it a done deal that the country quota should go?
No, I think nothing is done with anything. You can never take anything for granted until the bill is actually finalized. Both houses agree on every nuance and every detail of it, and it's signed by the president. Never, ever, ever take anything for granted in politics, which is rule 101, as we all know about politics in any country, in any part of the world, and equally so in the great nation of the United States of America.
So in that case, do you think it'll require endless negotiations in next Congress to pass a similar bill?
So if both houses actually pass it, because there's still an overwhelming majority that are interested in pushing forth and forward with this bill, then great, it could very well pass, because we're very close to this finish line right now. The only reason that I can think is either because they take off time because of the holidays, Christmas break and New Year's break, if they're taking off time and then they all rethink about it and they get a lot of pushback from their constituents, then there's a risk that in the new Congress, they're not going to be as excited to agree to sign it again, like the way they have with an overwhelming majority in both the House of Representatives and the US Senate.
Some immigrant rights groups have voiced opposition to the anti-Chinese language in S.386, saying that it's xenophobic. Do you agree with that?
So I think the language they're referring to, and people keep saying it because the bill, the per country quota limits, none of those are targeted. I'm thinking that the issue that they're talking about is there is a provision in the bill which says that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, in consultation with the U.S. Department of State, the U.S. Department of Defense, and the U.S. Department of Justice, along with members of the intelligence community, plan to create a definition of what it means to be affiliated with the military forces of the People's Republic of China or the Chinese Communist Party. And so that would then prevent or bar a Chinese national to be able to seek admission, even on a tourist visa, student visa, any visa, or to file an adjustment of status and get the green card approval. And so I think people are saying that part seems unfair and discriminatory against China and Chinese nationals, because almost everybody in China is required automatically as a matter of like standard policy to be a member of the Chinese Communist Party. So it almost sounds like they're saying if you're from China and you just did what 99% or majority of the people were required to do to get a job in China, etc., then if that would prevent you from getting your green card, then it seems unfair, and hence it is discriminatory against Chinese. Most people are saying, multiple reports are saying that this provision would likely be stripped from any final compromise bill between both the House and the Senate.